What's up, guys? I'm BTC. A brand new Baptiste story unveiled some history and what very likely appears to be a new Talon Tank character, possibly Hero 31. If you're enjoying the video, make sure you hit that like button, and if you're new, subscribe to get more. Let's get started. Earlier today, Blizzard released a brand new short story about Baptiste. It told a little bit of why he left Talon and what he's been doing since then, and it took place kind of more currently in the timeline on what's going on in the Overwatch universe, as opposed to something that took place a while back. But we're not focusing on Baptiste. Instead, there's another character that was introduced in that story named Mauga. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I could be wrong. But this character almost certainly will be a new character in the game and will likely be a Talon Tank. So there's a bunch of information that we're given about him. There's some description on how the character kind of works. Now, some of this might just be flavorful, right, to make the story a little bit more interesting, but others might be very descriptive of what the character is actually able to do in the game. I realize how often people predict new heroes are going to happen when even the slightest hint of something is mentioned in a comic or an animation, but in this story, a good deal of attention is given to this character of Mauga on what abilities they have, and also there's several pretty good images, even a standalone image. So for all of these reasons, it does seem this will be a character. Whether or not it's the next one, I can't say for sure, but it does seem like this will be a character. We can see from the image work and some of the description in the story that he has very heavy armor. Also, at one point, it says that Mauga stepped in front of the other characters and he activated an energy shield, kind of protecting Baptiste and Nguyen. The hail of enemy gunfire rattled against Mauga's shield, and also when they fought their way up the main stairwell past the decorated columns and statues, bullets shredded against ornate banisters, Mauga's shield protected them and they pushed steadily upward. The character definitely has some kind of a barrier. Now, it does seem that it's going to function a little bit more like what Reinhardt has as opposed to an Orisa barrier, so it does get projected in front of them and they can move, because during the story it's described that they continue moving forward as the shield is up. Now, with the exception of that barrier mechanic, all of the other descriptions of his armor and weapons seem to be very close to what we've already seen with the Talon heavy assault units from the Archives event, because they've got these really big units, they've got heavy armor, big chain weapons, and they also have these coolant tanks on the back, which are also mentioned for Mauga, where he has these giant tanks on the back. So it actually says right here that he said loud enough for Baptiste to hear, he hefted his pair of machine guns, each as tall as a full-grown man, like they weighed nothing. The coolant tanks on his back gleamed in the scant light. This is very similar to what we've already seen. It's probably going to be a modified or a personalized version of that heavy assault armor. Now, for those coolant tanks, if they have an actual in-game function, there's a couple of things that this could be related to. The first is some sort of overheat mechanic for his weapons. Imagine he doesn't have any ammo whatsoever. He can just attack as much as he possibly wants to, as long as his weapons don't overheat. But as you keep attacking, they begin to get more and more heat, and then they end up just completely shutting down. Now, the more overheated they are, the longer it takes for it to kind of fix itself or to have that kind of reload mechanism in it. So that is one possibility. Another possibility is it could be an actual rage mechanic on the character himself, where he gets an extra burst of damage or speed or something of that sort. And we actually saw a couple of things during the story that kind of indicate he does have these two different modes, like more of a passive easygoing mode and then an all-out kind of anger rage mode. And in one point, he actually says, Mauga whirled on him, his eyes burning with violent, nothing familiar or safe in his face. For a moment, Baptiste felt a real jolt of fear, and then Mauga smiled, relaxed his grip, and the guard gasped for air. And he says, "My bad." So this isn't the only time he's done this. There was actually like 1 or 2 other cases where he kind of just suddenly goes into this rage mode. And it's possible that the coolant tanks could have an in-game function related to that. Towards the end of the story, Baptiste and Mauga are fighting, and Baptiste ends up destroying this fusion energy charging station that's right next to Mauga, and it destroys a big area, and when Baptiste goes to look, there's nothing there. Like, Mauga is just gone. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean it's tied to any ability or anything. It could have been just the way that the story needed the fight to end, so that's just kind of what happened. So those are the things, though. It looks like he's going to have very heavy armor. He's got a barrier. He has some sort of coolant tanks on his back that might be tied to an overheat or a rage mechanism. But what do you guys think about this character? What do you think he's going to have for abilities? And is he going to be Hero 31, or is he going to be released sometime later, if at all? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.